Good morning. Today we will hear from the one and only Steve Wiard. What are you waiting for? And we will begin with a song that is called Walk for Peace, which has been composed in recognition of the Walk for Peace that the Buddhist monks have been making from the middle of Texas over to Washington, D.C. over the last little while. And with their dog mascot Aloka, who was injured and now is better and walking with them again. And it goes like this. From the dawn of Texas skies, robes of saffron start to rise, walking softly mile by mile, carrying peace in every smile. Wind is whispering on the road, spread your love across the world. Silent prayers in every stride, hope becomes their gentle guide. Step by step we carry peace, let the suffering slowly cease. Hearts awaken, fears release, together we walk for peace. Step by step in harmony, boundless love for all to see. Let compassion never cease. Together we walk for peace. Through the towns and open plains, under sun and under rain, every step a sacred vow. Healing lives here and now. Faithful Loka by their side, guardian of this holy stride. Love that moves like gentle rain, mooning miles into noble dreams. Step by step we carry peace, new holy seas. Hearts awaken, fears release. Together we walk for peace. Step by step in harmony, build my love for all to see. Let compassion never cease. Together we walk for peace. No borders, no walls, no limits at all. Only kindness calling home. Hand in hand we rise under open skies, lifting hearts wherever we roam. Step by step we carry peace. Let division slowly cease. From Fort Worth to D.C. streets, together we walk for peace. Step by step, humanity, walk in loving unity. be stilled and free. May this journey never end. Peace in every breath we send.
Thanks, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Taos United Community Church, where we're all welcome, no matter what we believe or what we used to believe or what we would love to believe. This house of prayer belongs to all of us, and we're glad that you're here. And we have a birthday cake for... Michael has a birthday tomorrow. So thank you for our birthday shepherd, Lou, for making the cake. And we will do that soon. We have some announcements. The one, I helped Leonore with the Nest dinner this past Friday. And I just want to tell you, it was such a good feeling to do that. And one of the things we did was we split up the work. So I mentioned in the email that I sent out to everybody that my mom used to always say, many hands make light work. And so the idea of, cooking a meal for 40 people is a bit daunting, but if we get more people to help, so if you're interested in doing it, but doing it on a smaller kind of scale, talk to Leonore, because that's definitely a doable thing. So thank you. And Leonore has some announcements. Does anybody besides Leonore have it? Oh, Sid does too. Okay, good.
As I said, I'll always have announcements. It's part of my role, okay? What I was going to say about the meals, actually, I helped Eileen. She suggested it, and she said, what else I need to do? I said, let's do it together. So it was her idea. We got a very lovely note from Dream Tree, another one. And it said, Taos United Community Church, your generosity is unmatched. The guys and gals at the shelter love and appreciate the meals you bring. And they have a special event for donors, meal donors, and I guess otherwise in April 16th. And they'll give more information, but I'm going to hang this up over there so you can see it. The funny thing is, I received 4 cards from Dream Tree. One was written to the Social Justice Book Club, which I'm not part of, but they assumed I was. And I also got one for Vista del Cañon, and then I got another one for, I think it's because I'm in contact with them when other people do this. And then I got a personal one because it looked like I'm involved with so many meals. So anyway, thank you for that. Nest is looking for people to do 3-hour shifts so they continue to be open during this cold weather. It could be like 5 to 8 in the morning, 6 to 9, different times. They're not, it sounds like, well, the suggestion was you may not have much to do, bring your computer, bring some knitting, read a book, or bring a deck of cards. So it sounds like it's mainly there to just be support. There will always be someone there who is familiar and knows what to do in case of emergency. There will always be staff. So anyway, they do have 3-hour signups for that. And lastly, for those of you who are interested, and I'll ask Eileen to put this in the bulletin, Taos Immigrant Allies, along with a few other people, are doing an updated rapid response training for people who are in their signal group, but others who might be interested in understanding what that means. Originally, the training was when laws were being followed, this is what you were supposed to do, but now things have changed drastically. So that training is going to be on Saturday, February 7th, 1 to 4, next door. But anyway, that will be in a bulletin next week. But think about that, because you could join a signal group and be there to observe or just support should ICE ever come.
Thank you. Sid.
Hi, everybody. So in the spirit of many hands make light work, we're winding up the medical debt. relief. And the last thing we need to do is write a thank you note. We write it from us to all of the donors. There's about 50. And tomorrow at noon, we're going to be writing, we'll have the thank you note written, but we need to address envelopes and stuff them and stamp them in the next room tomorrow at noon. And if you think you might like to join in, I think it'll take about an hour. Okay? Let me know, okay?
Thank you, Sid. Yes, Jerry.
Two things from the Shepherd body that met this week. One is, if you read the email this week, we'll be offering kind of and if you want to be part of Taos UCC as a partner, exploration class over Lent, sometime in March. So be thinking about that. If that's not a decision that you've made, we've spoken with some folks who are interested. And the second is Lent starts on March 21st, and we're going to be doing a series of things between then and Palm Sunday, exploring communion, kind of from perspectives. We have a wide perspective here in our little fellowship. So that's something to be looking forward to in Lent.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we're ready to begin. So let's try to get ready for worship, which is, the way we do it is get a comfortable seat, take a couple deep breaths, maybe more than a couple. And I'm going to sound the chime so we can really get here. And as we breathe in, maybe breathe in the love that comes with this cold, clean air. And as we breathe out, the love we have to give each other. Our opening prayer this morning is from Cameron Trimble, a blessing for clarity in a time of distortion. God of shared life and fragile worlds, we are tired of leaders who trade truth for spectacle and power for responsibility. Today we thank you for reminders that honesty still exists in public life, that courage can still sound like humility, and that leadership can still serve something larger than ego. Give us the steadiness to tell the truth about danger without surrendering to despair. Give us the wisdom to choose cooperation when cruelty feels easier. Give us the patience to build what lasts instead of chasing what dominates. Amen. We have a tradition here of lighting, and I want to welcome Steve. It's Steve, it's right? Yes. Steve Newcomb is visiting Taos for a couple of weeks, and he and my partner Joy are here with us today. So welcome. We're glad you're here. And please stay for treats and birthday cake afterwards next door. That would be great. Okay. So what we do now is we sing a song and we walk up and light a candle. So the candle represents something in our hearts that we want to give attention to today. So please take the candle, put it in the bowl of sand, if you'd like. We are all welcome to do that. And while we're doing that today, we're going to sing Precious Lord, which is number 5 in the music book.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my light is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Good morning, church. The first reading this morning is from 1 Corinthians, Paul's letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13, and verse 18. Now I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you be in agreement, and that there be no divisions among you, that you be united in the same mind and the same purpose. For it has been reported to be by Chloe's people that there are quarrels among you, my brothers and sisters. What I mean is that each of you says, I belong to Paul, or I belong to Apollos, or I belong to Cephas, or I belong to Christ. Has Christ been divided? Was Paul crucified for you? Were you baptized in the name of Paul? For the message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. The word of the Lord.
Morning, everybody. I'm reading from
from Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 through 23. As he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea. For they were fishermen, and he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. As he went from there, he saw two other brothers, James, a son of Zebedee, and his brother John, in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. Jesus went through Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness among the people.
Good morning. Good morning to my Zoomies. Also, I want to say hello. Probably about 10 days ago, I needed some money, and place you go when you need money is often the bank or a good friend. So I went to the bank and had withdrawn some money, and I heard someone say, Steve. And, I don't hear voices much, but just something was going on. And I turned around and this fella came up to me, and I recognized him. I couldn't pull his name up immediately, but I knew his face. We had not seen each other, I'm suspecting, in at least 10 years. He used to live here. He still has a home here, but he also has a home in another country. And he used to support Shared Table and the ministry we did, still does. But I hadn't seen, when you haven't seen somebody in 10 or 12 years, it's a little adjustment for both of you. How have you aged in 10 years? How have I aged? We kind of think, we're about the same. Well, we're not quite the same. So we talked a bit, and he asked me how I was doing. I said, fine. Then he asked me a question. He said, you still messing around with that church? I said, yeah, I am. He said, well, that's good. That's good you're messing around with that church. I'm glad to hear it. And, I don't know if anybody asked you if you're messing around with church or not. I have friends and I have some family members. Some folks are messing around and some folks hands off. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. But as John Lewis said, and his words are so timely, we're living at a time where we need to be in good trouble. And sometimes we need to be in a good mess. And the church began as a movement, messing around with society and empires and powers that be. And we need not forget that. So yeah, I'm still messing around with the church. It's been a long time, over 50 years now. We heard just a moment ago from Scott and we heard from Lee, reading Paul's letter to the Corinthians about the divisions. I thought it was kind of interesting, to read what Paul's letter brings us. The divisions, he said, I hear there's quarrels. I hear there's some fussing going on with you folks. some things haven't always changed. The divisions that exist today on January 25th, the divisions, the quarrels among us. And he kind of asked, who do you believe? Who do you follow? Pick somebody. Who is it you're following? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Who do you really follow? Who is your compass? What is your compass? And then leaves reading from the gospel, and Jesus is out. He must have been one heck of a walker. There were he didn't have a golf cart. He didn't have a little Beetle. He didn't have a motorcycle. I mean, when I've traveled in third world countries, like some of you, motorbikes are everywhere and people are walking. And he sees a couple of people out there fishing, and we get their names. Interesting that, people remembered some of those things. And he kind of seems to say, I'm paraphrasing in my own way, but he might have said, come on, guys. What are you waiting for? And there's two ways to think about that grammatically. Okay, so listen. You can ask somebody and you can say, what are you waiting for? It's like, you ready to go? What are you waiting for? Let's go. And the other way is you can say, what are you really waiting for in your life? One answer could be, I'm waiting to get my coat on. The other one is, I'm waiting to find something that gives meaning to my life. That's the good news that we try to bring through church. So both of those readings today seem to me to speak about, yes, there are quarrels, there are disagreements among you. That's a reality of living then and now. But we also got to answer the question, what are we really waiting for? As a nation, as a people, as a church. You had a search committee going here for a year or two, right? Yeah. And then it's like, so what are you waiting for? You're waiting for, and you said, we got 4 shepherds. We can go forward. We got people that support us. There's another brief reading I'd like to share with you this morning. I know you've heard it before, but I think it's good for us to hear things again. We've heard Matthew's gospel before. We've heard Paul's readings read aloud. So on this last Sunday of January, I thought these words seemed appropriate, so I ask you to hear them out because they seem very appropriate. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, and it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, and it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, and we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, and we were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received, for good or for evil, and the superlative degree of comparison only. You know who wrote those words, right? Mr. Dickens. A Tale of Two Cities. I picked up this old book years ago. I mean, it's old. You know what it's like when you smell an old book? Yeah, it's like that. It's actually older than I am. I mean, but it's held together. I handle it carefully. You need to handle older things carefully. That's right. You know when Charles Dickens, when Tale of Two Cities was published? Pardon? I said the 18th century. A little literature trivia for the day. It was published just before we were in another divisive time. 1859, Dickens published Tale of Two Cities. Just before the Civil War erupted. The head of NATO mentioned last week, he said there's been a rupture in the world. Maybe you read that. I thought it was a fitting word. Think about the rupture and the divisions going on just before the Civil War. And believe it or not, there was a Civil War battle fought near Glorieta. They weren't all in Gettysburg and Shiloh and Antietam. There were divisions. Paul's writing about those divisions and disagreements. He said, folks, you got to come together in some agreement. Jesus was about that as well. He came to unite people, not divide them. And yet we are caught in the midst of this in our day, in our time. It's a tale of two nations. Doesn't it seem that way? That it's a tale of two countries? A tale of two peoples. And yet we need to find ways to live together. Martin Luther King said, you got to find ways to live together peacefully. And by the way, let us not forget too quickly, there was a national holiday earlier in this week. I'm not going back 2 months. It was just 6 days ago, and the country said, we're having a national holiday. I realized some people were working, but many were not. Dr. King was born January 15th, but the holiday was the Monday. And we need not forget who he was and what he was about. Can you imagine where he would be today? In LA, in Minneapolis, in Portland, in New York. He would be so busy. He and Andrew Young and John Lewis and Harry Belafonte and Portier, they would be so busy. There's so much division, places for them to go to stitch it back together. You know, you get a wound, you got to go to somebody who sometimes has that expertise to stitch you back up. When the country is wounded, we need something to stitch us back up. And for some people, it might be Dickens. For other people, it might be King. For some people, it's Jesus Christ. Or the neighbor across the street. I think about where King chose to go the last days of his life. He went to Memphis. Some of his staff said, you don't need to go to Memphis. We got other things going. He said, no, there were 2 sanitation workers crushed to death in that truck recently, and they're trying to get better wages, and I need to go. Helping garbage workers. And some of you have been to Memphis, I'm sure. I have a friend there. I was there a couple years ago. I went to the Lorraine Motel, which is an incredible museum now in civil rights. I saw the room where King was. I saw the balcony. And I saw James Earl Ray was much closer than I had envisioned. That building's been raised, but... And I don't know where you were in April of 1968. I don't know how old you were. Excuse us, Michael, but you're the young one here, I guess. But I remember the divisions the quarrels among us that came on April 5th and April 6th and 7th, and what Bobby said announcing King's death. There were divisions in the country, and somehow we got through it. Not all of us got through it, but some of us did. There were divisions with Jesus and his ministry, and some of them carried on and followers and got through it, and some of them didn't. Stephen was the first martyr in the book of Acts. The church still calls us forth to listen, to hear, to act. The song that we sang together, and Michael on the guitar, The Walk for Peace. I first heard about the monks a couple of weeks ago. I thought maybe there were 100 of them. You know how many? It's like 20. Leaving Fort Worth, Texas. Interesting place to spring forward. Fort Worth, Texas, October 26th. The end of October, they start walking. And sometimes I think, wow, what would it be like, Steve, if you walked from here to Espanola? Whew. Here to Seco. I was walking yesterday. I'm going to get to that. You know how far they're going? 2,300 miles. That's how far they're going with Aloka. And they got all kinds of people supporting them, handed them sandwiches, water, food. They're walking for peace. And maybe the consciousness and awareness of Buddhist monks has been raised a bit. I admire them. I respect them. I'm interested to see what it's like when they get to D.C. I'm kind of curious, like, what are they going to do when they get there? Do they just go back to Fort Worth? And I mean, I think they ought to walk right into the Capitol building and walk down the halls of those Capitol. And then I think they ought to go to the White House and knock on the door or something. You got to do something with that energy and that love. I mean, Jesus wasn't just walking around. He said, come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go. We got work to do. So it's pretty amazing what's done in the power of God and love. Now, I brought a visual prop today because I'm a visual guy. When I used to go to the nursing home, no, that doesn't imply, no. When I used to go to the home, I would take visual props with me because it helped the folks stay with me, so. Can the zoomies see? I got a flag, an American flag. Eileen and I didn't have an American flag at our house until about 2 weeks ago, and I said, Eileen, I need a flag. I have a Ukrainian flag. I have a small Palestinian, but I need we're not the United Nations yet, but it could be. I said, we need an American flag. Because I wanted to carry it. And I wanted to silently say something. And I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't be walking. I'm preaching Sunday, and then I thought, after what happened yesterday morning in Minneapolis, I could not sit in the house and just sit down and look at the lectionary and look at the scripture and try to write a sermon. I had to do something. That same feeling was there in 2003 when we went into Iraq. It was there when I was in college, and some of you were in Vietnam. It was a tough decision. So I have some hiking sticks at home. And this is my flag. And yes, I'm holding it the way I want to hold it. Yes. So I bundled up and I started walking. I parked my car near the old Mondo and cannabis shop, park in that parking lot, and I get out and I just walk a couple miles on this side of the sidewalk, sometimes in the street through the snow was kind of slushy. And then I cross the street and walk back the other side. And the wind was blowing my flag and I was bundled up and people went by and people honked their horns. And some people waved. And some people didn't. And some people waved at me in another manner, with one finger instead of 5. And I got to where Genevieve's Cleaners is, you know, right across from the tap room. It's called Clean. Genevieve's been a friend a long time. She has a quote of Martin Luther King on her window. I went in there and said hi and warmed up. I was tired. I needed to sit. She gave me some water. I said, Genevieve, anybody has a quote of Martin Luther King on their window is a place where I could bring you some business. And I crossed the street and walked back the other side. The irony is that the quote on Genevieve's window from King says, King said, don't let any man bring you so low that you hate him. I thank Genevieve. I stepped out of her business. I didn't go 20 feet. And you know what? Some guy in a pickup truck came by and saw me with this flag upside down, which is an international symbol for distress. And I think we are in distress. He didn't just roll down his window, he opened his door as he slowed and went by me, and he said things to me that I can't say to you in this place. He was not happy at all. I kind of watched him if he's going to turn around and come back. I kind of had to get the adrenaline up if he did. And then I went back into Genevieve and I said, Genevieve, it's hard living up to that quote you got on the window. Not to have somebody bring you so low you can't just hate them, dislike them. Yeah. Anyway, I crossed the street and I kept walking. I walked a total of about 4 miles, and for me, that's a lot. I could feel it in my hips, my legs. I'm 77, you know, and you try walking 4 miles through slush and snow and cold and have people yelling at you and flipping you off and stuff, and then some people supporting you. I got down toward the end where my Jeep was, and it was about time. I was getting hungry. It was about time to eat and get something to drink. And then I just couldn't quit yet. I said, I've got to go down by Walmart and keep walking another couple blocks because I may see another 50 cars. When we're talking about doing ministry and practicing ministry and following Christ, we got to just keep going a little extra. You can't just say, well, there's a comfy chair, I'm going to get in it. You got to do a little more. That's what we're called to do. It's like Christ is saying, what are you waiting for, Steve? What are you waiting for, Pete? Scott? Leave? Who are you? I mean, Bob, what are you waiting for? See, we're called to do something. So I walked a little more, and then I got back, and there was a small little car that went by, and I noticed them when they went by, and they kind of looked at me like people do. And then they turned around, and then they did come back and pulled in and I thought, I thought we had a good day, and you never know. They pulled up, there was 3 women in the car, 3 Hispanic women. I didn't know them. An older woman, and it looked like a couple daughters, maybe in their 20s or I don't know, 3. They pulled up, and I thought, well, there's 3 of them, but, you know. And then they spoke to me, and I said, hello. And she said to me, do you know, she said, you got your flag upside down? Do you know your flag's upside down? I said, yes, I do, ma'am. I do, thank you. I said, do you know why? She said, no, why? I said, because it's an international symbol for distress, and I think our country is in distress. And they nodded and they said, yes, yes. So they learned something. I learned something. We had a connection. I said, I'm about through today. I got to stop. I've been 4 miles. I got to have some lunch. I got to get some water. I'm thirsty. She says, you need some water? I said, yeah. She said, we got some water. She got out of the car, opened up the trunk, gave me a bottle of water. Said, here. What a connection. You can make a connection you may not think otherwise of. I didn't know that woman. I may never see her again. I don't know. But the connections that we can make, trying to live out our faith in the context of the world in which we live, can make a difference. It really can. And in spite of the fact that some people don't like this or me or you or what we're about, we're still called to do it. I mean, it's not easy if you're going to follow Christ. And the people who did found that out. To express your faith. Not to push it, but just to express it. To be the witness. Makes a difference. So think about those things as you live through these difficult times. And as we remember Renee Good and Alex Pertay and what has happened and what continues to happen. The last words I want to leave with you are not mine, but I found this somewhere and I think they're good. And I want to share them, and maybe I'll tack it on the bulletin board or something. I don't know who wrote it, but they helped me and they may help you. I call it words to ponder. Keep fighting for the good. Keep showing up. Keep loving. Keep giving back. Keep being kind. And keep being brave. Keep caring. Keep trying new things. Keep showing grace. Keep on. The world needs you to believe in the good. May God help us all to do those things. Amen. Amen.
And now we take 2 minutes of silence to